I think the world of Rian Johnson. I said to him, I totally disagree with what you think about Luke.
Figuring out where does it make sense for his head to be at, figuring out what part he was going to play in this film, that for me was kind of the big gorilla of this movie.
Luke says, it's time for the Jedi to end. Huh?
Once I cracked that, then I felt like, okay, I think now we can get into it and tell our story.
How could this happen? What could have happened to this guy that he would wind up the most hopeful, optimistic guy, now this bitter old cynic?
And this is the chapter where we're going to challenge all these characters. We have to really push them to extremes.
It certainly surprised me to hear Luke say it's time for the Jedi to end. I said, what?
Yeah.
Luke was the most optimistic, hopeful character. And
yes.
I had a real, sort of a back and forth with Ryan. I said, Ryan, a Jedi doesn't give up.
I remember you saying that, yeah.
A Jedi, if he does something wrong, he makes it right. Even if he's traumatized and goes away, he regroup within, 6 months, but 20, 30 years? And come on, that's a little bit overindulgent.
Mm-hmm. So, I finally got around to watching that new Star Wars movie, The Last Jedi. And there's one scene in this movie that I'm going to show you all that really sticks out to me. It sticks out to me like a sore thumb. Check this out. What happened there was Luke Skywalker. Happy, optimistic Luke Skywalker. If you watched the Return of the Jedi right before you watched the new trilogy, if you made the mistake of watching the original trilogy and then watching Force Awakens and then watching The Last Jedi like I did, that character doesn't seem like the other character. Now, he's older, yeah, but something happened in the last 30 years to make this same character, Luke Skywalker, ignite his lightsaber and attempt to kill his nephew. His nephew who he saw a little bit of the dark side in. Felt a little bit of the dark side, and he's all firing up that lightsaber ready to cut him in half. And I'm not just talking like he sensed the dark side and one of his students. I'm talking the motherfucking son of Han and Leia. That's who he was gonna Darth Maul in that scene. I don't know. It's like if I start making Patreon begging videos. It's like if I start singing the praises of Chibi Reviews for some reason, and saying that my channel's gonna be going away if you don't start getting me some fucking money for doing these videos. That's would be the equivalent. That's like me taking who I am, who you know is radical satirical, and flipping that completely over in goddamn reverse. Okay? For me, I couldn't get past that scene. And you might say to yourself, well, that's just how Kylo saw it, okay? We see Luke's version of it. In Luke's version of it, he's not quite so aggressive. There's not the anger in his eyes. But who's to say which version is right? It could be that version. Maybe he did sense the dark side in Kylo, and in fear for his family, he was like, I gotta kill this motherfucker right now. That's not Luke Skywalker, alright? That's not Luke Skywalker. Anyone that watched the original trilogy, I'm starting to feel like this new writer and director maybe glanced over the original trilogy, certainly doesn't know much about Luke's character. I'm starting to think that, because I don't know what reasoning he would have to completely shit on Luke's character like this. to turn a hopeful, optimistic guy in the last series who basically offered himself up as a sacrifice to bring his father, who he loved, back to the light side. Okay? Why would he turn that character into this bitter old hermit who just went on an island somewhere to die? Why would he do that? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, does he personally not like Mark Hamill? Like, I don't understand this. Like, I've seen interviews after, and I've seen Mark Hamill just kind of like look like a ghost when he sits, when he's standing beside Rian talking about the movie, like he was betrayed. Like Mark, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but Mark Hamill himself said he fundamentally disagrees with every single thing they chose for his character in this new trilogy. For anyone criticizing this movie for Rose, or how stupid the casino side mission thing was, or for Leia in space, for any of you criticizing that, look at this. This is the absolute worst fucking part of the movie. And I would go on to say, this is the worst, most out of place scene in any Star Wars film. This doesn't make any fucking sense, and it cannot be defended.
When I read 8, I told Ryan, I fundamentally disagree with virtually everything you've decided about my character. But, other than that, I can't really describe more, but it was as shocking to me to read what Ryan had written as I'm sure it will be for the audience.